What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live stream session with your boy Phrankleen. If you see me looking that way, so I'm streaming with um, my DSLR camera. So it's the first time I'm trying it, and I'm trying to make sure just to improve the quality of the live stream because I normally stream with my laptop. So I'm gonna have to double check with you guys to see if you can hear me, what the audio sounds like, and hopefully next time it'll be a lot better. So if you can hear me, you can see me. Um, be sure to hit the like button. If you can hear me, let me know you can hear me, please. So basically, I'm streaming. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? So, like I said, I'm streaming with my DSLR camera. You realize it's a lot clearer, right? It's a lot clearer. Fantastic. So I'm looking that way because of the way I've set it up. So I normally use, like my laptop and stuff if I'm doing StreamYard, but I'm streaming now with my DSLR camera. So hopefully the quality of my live stream, you can see, yeah, you can see that melanin popping, huh? So yeah, give me 1 second, man. One quick second. If you're watching this as a playback, my name is Phrankleen. I'm the brain behind this channel. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the like button. Look around the channel. Okay. What's up, Yoande? I see you. Just give me 1 quick second, man. I'm trying to get myself together, man. I'm just making efforts to make sure that because usually the camera on my laptop when I'm using StreamYard is always a bit tricky. Do you get what I'm saying? So I found a way to connect my DSLR camera, professional camera, connect it to my laptop, use the internet, and then bingo. So yes, we've barely started. Somebody's already given me a thumb down, man. I've got so many people that love me. We've not even said anything about today's topic. They gave me a quick thumb down. Keep your voice down, Mr. Phrankleen. We don't like ya on this YouTube environment. Thank you for loving me, man. As yeah, TJ getting sorry, it's how they shout for me straight. You man, Nico. House of coffee. So, anyways, let's talk about this. So, let me give you a quick background. So, basically, a couple of days ago, in Nigeria, right? So there was this. Just give me a second. Let me pull that up. There's this guy. Is called Pius Anglo. He works for Channels TV in Nigeria. All right. So Pius basically is a media personality, like you would call him, right? He bit his woman to pulp, like trashed that woman. So the woman had a lot of bruises on her face. The video went viral. I saw these on Instagram and I'm like, whoa, what the flip? This is nuts, right? So the video went absolutely viral. You pay attention, you watch this, just like so many other people. I empathize with the woman and I'm like, wow, this is disgraceful. This is unacceptable, blah, 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 XYZ. And she gave background into they've been married for long. She basically talked about how she condemned him about his promiscuity and being reckless generally as a man, and he descended on her and basically beat her to pulp. So the internet went bang, and you see many of this domestic abuse. As a man, I understand that it's always nice to hear the background into people's stories, who was the aggressor or what led to, because I know people's stories are unique to them, right? But having said that, any sensible person, you don't need a degree to see this. Any sensible person, you basically, if you got a shred of human feeling in you, you'd be appalled by what you're looking at and stuff like that. But fast forward to like a day or two later, And then there goes the breaking news. So if you see me looking this way, forgive me. I've got my laptop in front of me, so it's not bad, is it? So basically, apparently, the state governor of the Benue state, all right, which is, I believe, where they live or where they uh, both come from. I don't really know much about their background. The governor is called Samuel Ortom, right? So what he's done is basically unbelievably abused his position of power by forcing this woman, who is evidently a victim of domestic abuse, forced her into reconciliation with, her husband. And she made this public video. This is the same woman that was battered. If I wasn't doing a live stream, if I had pre-recorded this, I would have embedded, like short clips into this video, into this, video for you to go and watch and see how badly bruised this woman was. Now, I'm going to say a few things about this. And then she then came into the public. There was press, cameramen, microphones, journalists, the governor beaming with smile, shameless governor, and his wife. They were both present, and he she then proceeded to say, "I thank your excellency for taking out time out of your busy schedule, for helping my marriage to get back on tracks." My jaw was literally on the floor. I remember you and Liz sharing some stuff about this with me on Instagram, and but I remember a lady who's like a Nigerian, like I think a film actress or something. She made a very important point on Instagram that unfortunately some people, it's absolutely impossible to help them out of, even if you can blatantly see that they are in a very bad situation, it's absolutely impossible for you to help them because they they would always go back to their abusers and stuff. But I think there are layers to this. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you in a moment. Just give me 1 second. So the long and short was, the governor has used his position, and I'm sure the husband of this woman has basically pulled strings, and they've managed to brainwash her even further, gave her a million and one reasons to remain in the confines of that relationship. And then, the same woman that publicly stated that she's been repeatedly battered across many years by this man for being, reckless in his relationship and all that stuff. And I call it emotional abuse, emotional manipulation, and all that. That's deeply rooted in religiosity. I've always said this. This is one of the fundamental problems that we have in Africa. And I narrowed this down to Nigeria. But the danger therein is, the danger is, it enforces patriarchy. It enforces abuse, domestic abuse, because the very dangerous message this sends into the wider community is it's okay. They're basically aggressively normalizing this culture. And I'll be honest, I'm a dude. I mean, it's not connected to me, but uh, I'm not ashamed to say that so many women, and I know domestic abuse, let's be clear, it's not gender specific. It affects, both men and women in whatever confines of whatever relationship that's responsible for such. But what I'm saying is, particularly in the interest of women now, we're living in an environment in Nigeria. There's a very deeply rooted toxic culture whereby they normalize. There are women that I've heard, even people have sent me stories whereby they run to their pastors or their imams or whatever, leaders that they believe in, and they will tell them to go back. And they pretty much would justify the clear violation of those persons. and they would tell them to go back. They will unscrupulously find some biblical or Quran related scripture to try to force them back in. And the men behind this will beat their chest, in the public, and basically, because there's basically no accountability, there is evidently no repercussion, and they just carry on as normal, if that makes sense. So, but having said that, what really shocked me is a sitting governor can blatantly come. It's actually it's just below the belt for a sitting governor, right? To use his position to force a victim of domestic abuse into reconciliation, instead of you to use that position to make sure that that man is held for accountability, possibly gets prosecuted. You force her back, and then she then made a speech. You can see just all under duress. I want to thank everybody. What I need you to keep doing is to keep praying for us. Keep praying for you in the confines of a shithole. It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling, man. It's staggering. And this is what I'm telling you about the toxic culture that we have in Africa, unfortunately. So, in fact, I think a sitting governor should be penalized, because when you look at that closely, and I'm sure there are people who are very sound when it comes to looking at the legal ramifications and legal implications of certain actions. Legally, that's like you're suppressing the woman's fundamental human rights and prioritizing your position as a governor and imposing on her, finding frivolous reason for her to remain within the confines of toxicity. So what if we wake up tomorrow, or maybe some months down the line, the woman ends up dead? They will sweep it under the carpet. They would say, "Oh, they're just helping them." Some people are probably watching this. They'll say, "Oh, yeah, Phrankleen, are you?" Because I always like to cater to those people. Some people they're lost already, but fair enough. I love you anyway. They would say stuff like, "Oh, Phrankleen, are you pushing for, or do you take a buzz off the fact that people should just separate and go?" Listen, man, I'm a believer in relationships, marriage, whatever, man. It takes hard work, because it's an amalgamation of two individuals with perfectly different backgrounds, right? Different personalities, different habits, sometimes different beliefs, different upbringing, different backgrounds, different level of educational background, and so many factors, right? But in the name of love, in the name of affection, you amalgamate your emotions and you find a common ground, right? So, and then you hopefully complement yourself, and hopefully that common ground keeps you going for the rest of your years. So it's always a fantastic thing, right? I'm all for that. But in a case where somebody's life is being threatened, a sitting governor cannot, should not even entertain contact from such person, talk less of then using your platform to force that woman into reconciliation. And basically what they've done, what runs concurrently with that, is they've also used that. Remember, this woman came into the public domain. She made a video crying about how she's been abused and she's been violated for so long by this brother, right? And then they then got her to make a video and put that video in the public domain to say, "Oh, me and my husband, we're back together now." That's ultimate discredit fraud. So they do that to pretty much nullify everything she's previously said. So imagine third parties that are closer to her, that are trying to call her, that are trying to express their concerns. They will then be seen as haters according to our environment back home. These are the things that feel toxicity and carry on making sure that women are neck deep into abuse. There is a blatant disregard for fundamental human rights. Clearly, because if a state governor, with all the powers bestowed upon him, given his office, can do that, so you know that the average person, the average citizen, has, doesn't stand a chance, pretty much. So listen, I want people. Let me generate links. If you can hear me, you can see me. Smash the like button, man. Do you like the quality of my my video, me streaming from my DSLR? I think the live stream looks a lot better. What do you think? What do you guys think? Let me see. In fact, the guy works for the guy works for hold on. The guy works for Channels TV, right? He's a TV reporter. For me, it's a straight sackable offense, but by his employer. So again, what does that tell you about Channels TV themselves? What does that tell you? Because an employer like Channels TV should conduct their own investigation and perhaps align with, ongoing police investigation. Let's say there was one, and it's a sackable offense because such brand should not be seen aligning with domestic abuse. And then to have that guy return to his place of work. You see, the chilling message that sends to all the female employees in that organization means you don't you don't stand a chance in life. You don't even stand a chance to express yourselves. Don't you even dare think about it. Imagine that young lady walking through the corridors at work and walking past that brother this morning or at any time of the day and looking at him, knowing that they've seen the video of him battering his wife that much on social media. But they dare not talk because why? He's connected. He knows the governor. Some persons in the background have pretty much pulled strings to help cover his tracks, to further try to insult the collective intelligences of people like you and I. So the average lady or woman in that kind of organization who might be subjected to getting smacked on the bum without consent or getting, abused in any way, shape, or form, they don't stand a chance to get justice. Sorry, who is this person, man? Who is this person? Franco, calm down. Domestic abuse is nothing new. Look at Rihanna. Bro, man, listen, I don't want people like you on my platform, man. I block you straight, okay? The fact that you would say domestic abuse is nothing new, okay? You're a coward. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got their imperfections. But let me tell you, man, let me tell you, have you ever met Rihanna or Chris Brown in your life? You're going by what you read in the mainstream media. Mainstream media is the same platform that's being used to further brainwash the general public. If your daughter, I don't know who you are, Charles, but you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. You're a waste of oxygen, man. You should rethink your life, brother. If your daughter, right, goes into the public domain and gets severely battered like that lady, what would you say? Calm down. Have you seen the story of Rihanna and Chris Brown? And your daughter says, Dad, look at me. Is this the best you can offer? Go and read on the articles of Rihanna and Chris Brown. Move on. That's wrong, man. That's wrong. That's disgraceful, man. You shouldn't say that, bro. And like I said, let's be clear. Men as well as women are equally subjected to domestic abuse. Domestic abuse is not gender specific, all right? So this is not trying to pander to a group of persons, but we're speaking up against. You dig? You shouldn't be going around and talking with both corners of your mouth leaking and disseminating absolute dog bollocks and talking about, oh, it's domestic abuse is nothing. You're ridiculous, man. I wish I knew your employer. I hope you don't live in the UK. Let me just quickly send an email to your HR, man, and give him a screenshot of that nonsense. Oh, Daddy Denny. 1 second, man. I want people to call in and come and join the conversation, man. Please come and join the conversation. We're trying to get better, man. Unfortunately, it's an uphill battle. You have people in powerful places. You have people who are clearly using their position to oppress. You don't understand. Things like this set very toxic precedents, or precedents. What do you call it? Is it precedents? They set very toxic precedents. You know, what I've realized as well is people find it very comfortable. They find it very convenient. Please join the call, man. I want people to come and express themselves. Okay, let's talk about this. You know, people like to, you know, you can see a wrongdoing, but people like to talk rubbish and walk all over it like it's nothing until they themselves or a very close member of their family becomes a victim of that situation. Then they start asking for help. Hi, Esther.
Hi, Phrankleen. Good afternoon from London. How are you?
I'm all right,
Hi,
thanks.
everybody. Okay, I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked about what is happening because I saw both videos. The first video that she uploaded on social media when she was expressing what she was going through, and when I saw her face, I
Right.
was absolutely shocked. After that, yesterday, I saw the video with her surrounded by all the journalists, the governor very proud on his chest saying that here I am the
Yeah.
man. Okay, his husband, her husband, aside with the governor, he was in the middle. Okay, not saying
Yeah.
anything, not facing any consequence. Okay, what the hell is that? And she was talking like apologizing for certain justice. A whole doctor, a person who is instructed, who has her career. These things can happen to any woman. Even you
Mm,
have studied or not, on all the traits, if you have money, you don't have money. This can happen to anyone. Okay, that's the reason I am teaching here. And also, I am not Nigerian. Okay, but this is
yeah, that's
common in
fine.
Africa. People
Yeah.
uses to get involved just to say that no, this is a family matter. How you can abandon a marriage, what the people will say, okay, instead of solve the whole problem that this is domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Okay, this man should be prosecuted. This governor should be leaving his space and he must go throw away because this must go to the president of the country. This guy
Yeah.
cannot be there. He's not an example of nothing. He's an example of domestic abuse and he's an example of covering people who can kill their wives. Because the next thing that will happen, God forbid, the next thing that will happen is this woman will be dead. Because this is not the last time that this woman will be beaten.
Mm,
Okay? And this is something that he has give her a cake as Christmas present. This is what I
mm.
see. Because I hope nothing happens to this woman. But the things and the facts are giving me this conclusion because the next time this guy will get mad, what will happen? In order to avoid any
Exactly.
social media exposure, okay, in order to avoid any social media exposure, he will kill her
Hmm.
because he will not allow being exposed again.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what is domestic abuse, unfortunately. Okay, and these people never change. And he feels encouraged because he's connected, as you said. He's connected. He knows who to talk with to erase the
Yeah.
trace of what he has done.
Yeah.
He knows
Yeah.
perfectly what to do. And even if he kills her, he will not pay the price of his acts because now he has his supporters, the traditional men of his state that has seen how he has won this battle. I am so sorry
Mm.
for this woman. And I am so sorry for we as African women on the situation we are, because we don't have the support even of our families in a situation like this. Because pastors, family members, the elders will say, no, let's solve the situation internally. You must go back to your home. Think about your children. Think about what the community will say. The community, the children are not happy seeing how mommy is being beaten by daddy. I'm
and
sorry.
and and there's a when that woman made the first video, sorry to cut you, and I remember when I watched the video, there's like a little kid in the background that was
Yeah.
saying, sorry mommy, and I
Yes.
mean the bruises were just too much. So
Yes.
and you know, like what you're saying, you have like, you've made very powerful points. You have imagine and like somebody in a very strong um position, right? Like the state governor who has clearly abused, you know, their power to make sure that this guy gets protected,
Mm-hmm.
and the problem is it's a vicious cycle. So this is why I always talk about religiosity. We live in a society whereby religion is severely weaponized to tie people down mentally, right?
Exactly.
So
Mm-hmm.
in fact, let me tell you this, and I'm not trying to speak on behalf of women. I tread carefully with this statement, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it, I understand it. Do you know, if a woman finds herself in any predicament, even if it's about weight loss or weight gain, or they're being body shamed online, or maybe somebody is maltreating them at work, or like domestic, do you know women's number one enemy are fellow women? Do you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's
I've
correct.
always said this. I
That's
mean,
correct.
we talk about the failings of men, maybe what a man has done to a woman. But when you look at the bigger picture, women's number one enemy are usually fellow women. And even me
Exactly.
as a man, I look at it and I'm like, how does that even make sense? If you're looking
Yeah.
at on Instagram, for example, if you're talking about, I digress, if you're talking about maybe body shaming, maybe somebody's put on a bit of weight and people are they're trolling them, go and look through most of the comments. It will be fellow women tearing them down. If somebody have,
Unfortunately, yeah.
if somebody some
Unfortunately, that's
nonsense
correct. Yes.
about the press, it's always fellow women. So
Mm-hmm.
when you don't even have the support from your fellow women, it's like, okay, how do you then? Because you know what's even funny? What's even funny was I read some articles online when I saw the governor's, you know, interference with this, and I read some comments. This is coming from women saying, I'm sure the governor would cut her some check. She's a shameless woman for putting her husband in a public domain. Blah blah. All sorts, man. And even I found a lot of men from their username and their profile pictures having a back and forth fighting in the comment section. How can you say that? I don't know, man. It's just mind. Of course, there were men that had a lot of toxic things to say as well. But going back to my point, the society that we live in is an enabler. And I'm telling you, man, a
Mm-hmm.
lady wrote something I read on Instagram earlier that said people don't have an idea, especially us diasporans. And that really shocked me. He said, you don't have an idea how people die every day in like Nigeria, you know, like women in all these domestic situations. Because when some women try maybe to cry out for help, so you run home
Mm-hmm.
to maybe your father's house and you say, Dad, this and this and this XYZ is happening, your father will more than likely smack you back with the back of his hand and say, pick your children, your bag and baggage, and get back to 9 out of 10 times, get back to your husband's house. They'll they wouldn't
Yes.
even stop to say,
Yes.
hold on, what happened to you? They don't want to hear it. Go back to your husband's
Mm-hmm.
house. The
Mm-hmm.
husband's, your in-laws, the husband's side of the family are calling. They're putting pressure on the ladies, you know, parents, and then the parents will then cave in. And to make it even worse, if the husband's family have got a bit more money than the wife's family, it's game over. You don't stand a chance because
Absolutely. Oh
all
my
the,
God.
all the
You
rich
you
people in the
nailed it.
family, all the rich people in the family will then start making threats and start, you know, start saying you better get back. Because why? I think that's why I remember one of my early episodes when I started doing this talk show. I talked about how patriarchy, misogyny.
Yes.
There is known and unknown misogyny that the way a lot of us are raised as dudes. It's from being a child. It makes you see a woman as a commodity. So
Exactly.
you see your wife, you see your woman as your property.
Exactly,
You don't
because you have paid for that.
This is not like saying a good claim that, oh, this is my wife, this is my woman, I'm protecting her. But you're seeing her as a commodity. So basically, avoid commodity. Like, I can beat you down. You're just like a bag of sweets. You're mine. I own you. So the woman runs from pillar to post now, runs to some elders. The elders, some of them are probably on the in-laws payroll. They are voiceless. They will ask her to go back. She runs to religious leaders. Those are the worst. They are the worst because they have no logical reasoning to give you. They will 9 out of 10 times, they will flip through their books and basically shut you down with some customized scriptural reference, basically that leads you back into that environment. And to keep your mouth shut, they will defame you. They will ostracize you from your neighborhood. They will make you out to be the bad woman. And in the end, a lot of women just resign to their fate. They accept it, and most end up dead. The ones that are alive and end up traumatized. And the danger is you are so fine-tuned to it that you make sure that your daughter carries on in that pathway. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So
no, it doesn't.
As a mother-in-law,
it doesn't, but it's a Stockholm syndrome.
when you
It's the
become a mother-in-law and then you have a son, because that's all you know. If your son goes to the other side and batters the hell out of his wife, you'd make sure that you fight tooth and nail to defend your son's atrocities. So it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle, man. But thank you anyway. Let me bring on, you can stay there.
Yes.
I'm still gonna bring
Thank you so much.
Let me bring on Chidi. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's up, brother?
I'm all right. How are you?
Go on. What have you got to say, bro?
Yeah, I think yesterday I was well, I'm here based in Canada, so sometimes getting local news, I have to turn on to the local TV stations here, they're in Nigeria, and I was listening to TVC, The View, the women that were talking, and when I first saw the headline, because that was what drew my attention, and I was like, what's this governor thinking? I mean, what's actually going on in his mind? And I came to believe that I think the journalist or whosoever that guy was works for this man and maybe close to him, people like these sycophants, that they just have to, I don't know how to put it in words, but what that governor did was, for me, it's not explainable. I don't know how to put it, but for that man to raise his hand and that wife of his, I mean, it's the most bizarre thing I can still imagine in this 21st century. If it's happened or used to happen back in those days, I think he should be well educated enough. But I think
let me stop you right there, bro. I appreciate your point, but it's just a point of correction, and this comes, from the angle of brotherly love, right?
Yeah.
We also need to be mindful of our choice of words, right? Let me tell you, man, 21st century has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with educating ourselves, and knowing what the right choices are, and knowing what to do, how to behave, how to improve yourself as a person. So you see, the use of a lot of these terms are in 21st century. It's the same. I digress very quickly. Like, for example, here in the UK, I laugh when people tell you, oh, I cannot believe that in 2020 people are still racist. Are you joking? These nations in the West were built, they thrive. They will forever thrive off the back of racism and oppression. Black people are the currency. Facts. So whether you are in 2022 or 2030 is totally irrelevant. Do you see what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree.
What
Yeah.
the main point here is the culture. That's why I'm always against the use of the word culture, whereby, in fact, within most of our families, family trees, you find all these older people. They want to enforce this toxicity down your lungs. And the moment you exist outside the box mentally, you reject this toxic reasoning, they see you like a black sheep. They see you like you are unreasonable. They see you as, oh, even some of them, when they don't have a good rebuttal, they can't come back with substantive response to your position. They would say, oh, you are westernized, whilst they themselves, their black behinds, exist in the West. But you get the gist, right? So
I get you.
the culture, and sorry, one more. I'm on fire, man. I've just got these things busting in my head. The problem is, if you zoom out and look at these problems, one of the reasons why I'm also banging on about this is these are the same people that, like this guy, this TV presenter. Just imagine, close your eyes for a moment. Just imagine this guy decides to get a visa and migrate to America or come to the UK. So he will get to the UK. He will realize that he cannot batter that woman like he would like to have battered her in Lagos. To batter, that's on my batter what prison. You get what I'm saying? So then, or maybe he's been battering her for years, and then one time that he decides to batter her here, and she realized that there is an amazing invention in the West called 999 or 911 in America.
Yeah.
And then within the two shakes of a dog still, the police officers come to the door, and then bang, they get the brother arrested. And then what would then start disseminating in our wider society is, he brought that woman abroad and she's run him down. He ran himself down, man. Carry on talking, brother.
So yeah, I think I'll take on that correction. It's not a matter of which century we are in regards to who should be violent or not, but it's something that it's not that should not be done, whether man to woman or man to woman to man, in whichever direction it goes. I think, as you said, it goes down to the education of the individual, and because even here in the West, we also see the issue of domestic violence, whereby the only thing is that they can go free like they do in Africa, in Nigeria, in this case, and it is something that, if I believe that if that governor, I guess that governor actually it's an abuser. That's what I would say, if he had to step in that way, and whosoever, whether it's a religious leader, or a member of the anyone that supports that, telling the man you have to, or telling the woman you have to go back to your husband, consider the children, or telling the man you have to go back to your wife, consider the children, consider what people would say. I think those people support domestic violence and abuse. And also, this brings me into my older brother has been also a victim of domestic abuse. You can imagine him jumping off a two-story building to escape the wife. She was holding a knife, actually, just to put in that short form. And I've seen pictures of what she has done to him, and not just that, but as well to see how dark-hearted this woman is. Because when you say that it's not only man to woman, earlier on, it's also women to men. This woman terrorized my brother. to the point that even when my mother wanted to intervene, she slapped my mother, dragged her on the floor, and I was out of the country at that time. I was fuming when I was told what she was doing.
Sorry to cut you, bro. Forgive me. Where did this happen? Was it back in Nigeria or here in the West?
Yes, in Nigeria, back in Nigeria. Yes, in Ebonyi State, to be precise. This woman is a nurse. My brother works in the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, and yes, slapped my mom, dragged her on the floor. That's the woman I came to make peace, and my brother has vowed, because. We believe that divorce is not an option, or separation is not an option, back there. But people still, I think that's one of the reasons why people still go on doing what they do, because they're forced to go back and they still get the same thing. There's not like a change. Now, this lady at some point came and apologized to my parents, apologized to my brother, and once that few months afterwards, she went back doing the same thing. That was when my brother had to run for his life. Now, my brother has 2 kids with this lady. And for the past 2 years, he has not seen those kids because the lady took the kids away. And he's been trying to fight to see how he can get to see these kids. So it's a two-way thing. Honestly, it's just that the more it is tolerated, the more it will continue.
Yeah. Thank you,
and
bro.
If there is no, no law put in place and enforced, I think it will continue either ways.
Of course. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, man. Wow. Let me bring on common sense sisters. Go on.
Hey, Hi, Phrankleen. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
Okay. I hope everybody's doing well there. This news is very, very painful. Very, very painful because I listened to the woman's. I watched the woman's video where she was crying and talking about this issue. She's been married for 6 years to this man, and she just had the baby about 4 weeks ago. And also during the period of her pregnancy, this man also used to hit her stomach.
To sit on her.
Yes, and all those things. And then watching yesterday where she came out on live TV talking about forgiving the husband, talking about how her people back home in Imo State are not so happy with this, but they work on it. People should pray for them. You could see that this woman, who is a full-blown medical doctor, she is drained.
She has lost herself.
She has lost her self-esteem. She is very weak. She is drained. She's in need of psychotherapy help. She needs to be in a safe space. Look at her being surrounded by her abuser and her abuser enablers.
Yeah.
And then for her aunt to come behind her back and also hold her, that's being in the territory of the wolves. How do they expect her to behave? So that woman is in so much pain. But also the common sense thing here is that she has to decide to live
for herself,
to live her life.
Nobody, the internet cannot force her to live.
Yeah,
her family cannot force her. She on her own has to decide. And people always think that because she's a medical doctor, she should know better. It has nothing to do with your profession. It has nothing to do with what you're doing as a human being.
Yeah.
Over the lockdown, we were on different live Instagram stream. I think it was who used to have this story time where women and whatever would come and talk about their domestic abuse. And there was one lady in particular who called, and she spoke about how she came back from the UK from a master's degree program. She works at the bank. She met this man, married this man, and she was pregnant before the marriage. Before they got married, she was pregnant, and then a few weeks to the
wedding,
to the traditional wedding, he slapped her or he pushed her. One of those two.
I think he pushed her,
and he apologized. And she was like, "Oh well, I'm already pregnant for him. He's apologized. He wouldn't do it again." Today they are married. She has the child. He has been beating this woman to pulp. And even the house girl ran away. She went back to her parents. This man works in an oil company. She went back to her parents.
Oh.
You would expect that parents who take their children abroad to school should have some bit of common sense, right? She went back to her parents to say, this is what my husband is doing. No, her mother and father had the guts to say, go back to your husband's house.
Yeah, during the lockdown, no, this happened
During
this
the
year.
lockdown. Many stories.
This is the reason why the man beat her. He said that
she said him pounded yam
instead of pounded yam.
And slapped her while she was breastfeeding.
While she was breastfeeding the daughter.
How can you raise, whether you're a man or a woman, why would you raise your hand at somebody?
On anybody.
Even to emotionally abuse somebody or to verbally abuse somebody. How dare you? What gives you the right to think that you can abuse somebody any way or form? Even animals do not abuse themselves.
A common sense lesson. Have you ever tried to near Mama Bear, the animal?
Lioness,
they will come at you. So even if Mama Bears and animals come at you, they will chew you up. So human beings stop saying that this abuse is an animal. No, animals will not allow you abuse their own
kind. Yes, their own kind. In addition to that, my dear, I don't understand. So now this woman has decided to stay, and yes, in 6 years she's had children. Now it's not only about you; it's about those children.
Yeah,
and I saw a comment here about the man might have been from an abusive relationship and
nobody
blah, blah, blah.
cares.
That is not an excuse. Tyler Perry was abused as a child.
Yeah.
Do you see him abusing people today?
No.
If something bad happens to you, then you make efforts not to do the same to another person.
Exactly.
You do the right thing.
Yes.
There is good and there is bad. There is no narrow way in between.
Exactly.
If you can do as much as be a bad person, then you can turn around and be a good person. There is no excuse. Whether the woman is promiscuous, whether she did not set the
just leave.
It does not matter. And for the woman that decided to stay and put her children through that, put herself and then her kids to be waking up to be seeing that daddy is beating mommy can't do anything about it, then you make your sons think that they can be abused or they can be the abuser, or you make your daughters believe that they can be abused or they can be the abuser. You are bringing more broken human beings into society.
Yeah.
You have to live for yourself and live for your children. There is no excuse. And the first step is for you to accept help.
That's the only thing. And decide to prosecute the man, because even the NGOs that want to help, they cannot help unless you decide to prosecute the man.
He has to be in jail, and they should start that process of going to put him in prison.
Can I say something? I appreciate your energy and your contribution. This is why I was saying that the fundamental problem is, you see, like what you were saying, I feel your passion, and that's where I'm coming from as well. The mental conditioning is powerful. Exactly. That's why the people that colonized us, why do you think people bleach? I digress, but I'm giving you an example.
Oh, I've watched him. I can definitely tell.
Generations have brainwashed a lot of us, our women, believe that this dark skin, people even darker than me, that you're not good enough, that white is better. So you get absorbed into self-hate, and then you want to find justification to tone up, to remove that layer, which is in fact a lie. So in the process, they then monetize your foolishness. Now, look on Instagram. I'm not naming anybody. Look at most of these female Nigerian influencers. What is it that they are selling? Bleaching. Some of them do a bit of acting just to have in their bio Nigerian actress. I probably have never even seen any of your movies, but you see them open high street shops. Like, you don't understand. Go on some of these pages. They are selling these business. I was watching a documentary a few days ago, and they were talking about the bleaching industry aimed at Africa. Multi-billions.
Even darker Indians also.
Oh, Phrankleen, let me shock you.
Wait. So why do you think they're able to monetize us at that level? It's mental condition. So fortunately, there are some black women who will never put such cream on their skin. There are some women out there, the older generation. Some are old enough to be our moms. Some are even like our grandmothers. They bleach in the best part of their younger years. Today, they look like a wrinkled leather bag or a burnt,
Peeled,
like
chopped, old leather bag.
paper. They look like the ball bag of a camel because the skin has disintegrated. They've spent years bleaching and bleaching and bleaching. So the point here is mental conditioning is the same thing that religion does.
Exactly.
To entrap people,
Ah.
chain you down. You don't ask questions, you do as you're told. So if you dare challenge
the
narrative that's been passed down the line and you exist outside the box, they will try to make life unbearable. They will say all sorts, they will call you. And I know people, right? In fact, there was a lady that sent me an email. Let me tell you this. This is actually a woman, a grown woman. She has 2 children. She emailed me the other day and said, Franklin, I am sick and tired of the invaders' religion. I want to do something else with my life. But just because of fear of reprisal, my daddy, blah, 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 my mommy, my family, they're going to say X, Y, Z. She cannot think outside the box. It's the same template of mental conditioning when you then go into the confines of these toxic relationships. Because why? There are persons that self-appoint and tell you, you dare not have an opinion. Even as much as I support Nollywood, our own homegrown movie, they churn out a lot of BS movies that should not have even, or badly written scripts that shouldn't have been rolled out, but because they're not well censored, they're not well controlled, any idiot with a bit of money will just write nonsensical script, they churn it out. That's also an avenue for people to soak up toxic information, because you see, okay, there's a popular Nigerian comedian. If you know him, don't name him because I don't want any palaver. Don't name any, but you probably would have seen him. He's well known, he's well regarded up there. I used to love his stand-up routines. I watch it, I would laugh my head off and stuff. I can sit down and watch his videos on YouTube until I watched one stand-up routine that he performed at a massive venue in Lagos. There were dignitaries, governors like this guy, senators, all the powerful creme de la creme in the society were sat in that hall. And what was the joke about? The joke was about a lady following a guy from a nightclub. Met him during the day, and the guy took her somewhere. He did some shopping for her, bought her XYZ. She then decided to sleep over at his, but because she didn't have extra clothing, she then said, "Can I wear some of your shirt?" Right? So, which would have been bigger for her or something. So the joke then went into a slippery slope from that point. Of course, him garnishing it and trying to make it funny. And what my point here is, the joke emphasized on because the guy had taken the lady to an eatery during the day, had spent a bit of money buying food and ice cream. So when it came to the middle of the night, he wanted to smash her. And she wasn't, smash means make love to her. And she wasn't willing to, and then he then forcefully took off her underwear, shirt, had his way with her. What do you call that? That's rape.
That's yeah.
Now, the story took a sharp left to, the lady went to report to Nigerian police, and then the comedian carved out the jokes, because the Nigerian police, of course, we know they are truckload of failings and stuff. Then the police then said, come and write your statement. So you used your 2 legs to walk to a man's house, yeah? So when he gave you food, you ate it. And she said, yes, blah, blah. Some of you might know the routine. Where I'm going to is the police officer and the rest of the crowd who was, were agreeing that, you enjoy the man's money, so your vagina is in effect for the taking. Whether you agree to it or not. And I'm not gonna lie, man. My jaw was leaving the floor.
That's
Watching
very
that, I'm
distasteful.
hold on a second, man. Like, how can this make sense? And when they panned the camera into the crowd, people were laughing and kicking back. Women, people, powerful people. It's on YouTube, man. If I name the comedian, you go. I can send you the link. From that day, I stopped rocking with the dude, man, because the hypocrisy, what I'm going at, is staggering. The same people, when you talk about stuff like that, they will say to you that, oh, you know, come on, bro, you're blowing it out of proportion. I'm like, no, you're glamorizing rape. And there's so many men who, you know, that's the same society that would make guys think, oh, yeah, it's okay, man. I grew up, you know, you hear dudes say stuff like, yeah, if you don't let me, you know, I'll rip your knickers off. Wow.
I think now, Phrankleen, like, they are beginning to have a reset button in their brain for their jokes.
Oh, you better.
They are beginning to have a reset button because now they have kids. I think the said person came out to apologize publicly some years ago. They are now having
it's not really because of their kids, you know. It's because certain people are basically hitting them hard. So this is how
you're right. Is it not fathers that send their children back to their abusive husbands?
Yeah.
You don't even need to have kids. And this thing about beating or rape or whatever, people think that they can give it a degree. Like another thing we were listening to somebody's life story of a woman who had finally left her husband who had been abusing her. And then the one that broke the camel's back was when the mother-in-law told her husband
to beat her
from the neck
down.
Because a woman is not supposed to have bruises on her face.
So nobody would know.
He can be hitting her even if it's on the hand or from the neck down.
And when he finishes abusing her, he will call the family. They would abuse the woman.
Yes.
The woman is the one talking about her story. They would abuse the woman. When she finally left, you know what her young daughter said? Mommy, why did you take this long? We should stop undermining the intelligence of innocent children. Even the ones in your womb can experience the trauma.
They feel it.
So when you are in it, leave.
How can you quantify rape, abuse, or whatever? If it's about rape or sexual abuse or sexual harassment, there is no
there's nothing
you
like
touch me this small.
No,
it's not this, is not this. If I'm not giving you consent,
leave.
If I do not like it, no. If I don't hit me. Don't hit anybody. Keep your hands to yourself. Your hands are not meant to be hitting people. Your mouth or your verbal whatever that you speak is not supposed to be abusing other people.
Yes, or undermining
people. People say,
slimy
people
comments.
Say, treat me how you want to be treated. No, treat me how I want to be treated.
Exactly.
Everybody has their own preference. So the area where women are living and not carrying marriage or relationship on their head,
let me come
for those easier for you.
Those women that you'll be enabling, you'll be abusing other women that are passing through this pain.
Or maybe women that have gotten divorced and they've run away. You are abusing them. You are a true.
Listen to me. You think you have common sense? You have no common sense. You are hot and in so much pain, and you want somebody to come and join in your palaver and your misery. Stop suppressing the voices of the victims. Whether it's the victim is a man, stop saying that, oh, you're not man enough, why will a woman be beaten? Stop saying that.
Yeah, we've heard now that men will even go to the police station to report the case. And then the police will be laughing at them. For what? Why are you laughing?
For what?
It's unfortunately, it's the society, man. It's the society.
Let me
bring on, ladies, hold on. Let me bring on someone else. I'll stay right there. Let me just, Jerry, are you there? Let Jerry speak. Jerry.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro.
Yeah, good evening. As I was saying, well, I've been listening to what you guys have been saying, and it's interesting. I think one thing I would like to touch on is we've talked about the problems. I think in the next 5 years, Nigerians would need a lot of psychologists because it's a time bomb of emotional catastrophe that's waiting to happen. We're going to need a lot of psychologists. I think one thing we've got to understand is there is a psychological warfare in Nigeria. The psychological warfare is the oligarchs versus the people. I did an article about it a long time ago.
when you are oppressed, when the average Nigeria has been psychologically abused left, right, or center, that mentally they're not there.
Yeah.
A man, can you imagine the stupidity of people? A man would abuse his wife and people would say, oh, well, you have to stay for the children. Other people have mentioned, there's something I want to talk about. There was a popular actor that got married not quite long ago. And on the altar, when they were doing, Nigerians with their vows and all that stuff, the guy was like, the pastor was like, as a woman, you've got to say after me, I'm going to respect my man. I'm going to submit to him under his authority. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm going to submit under his authority. That is like, it's like a slave. Not I'm going to respect you. If you not husband and wife should respect each other. You've got to submit to his authority. What kind of madness is this? And some idiots in the church would be clapping. Yay, they're married. That is a foundation for future psychological abuse. So the psychological abuse we're talking about, it starts from the political class, the religious class. If, like I said, Nigeria as a whole is a time bomb waiting to happen. We are going to need a lot of psychologists to unroot the amount of psychological damage that have been done to us. And unfortunately, it is the reality of it. We're talking about colonialism, how people are brainwashed and all that. A fellow Nigerian like this, that's why I think a couple of months ago, you invited me to talk about these people going back to Nigeria to get married. And some people were not happy when I said on your show that any man going to Nigeria to say, I'm looking for a wife is not a real man, because there are Nigerians here to marry from. So if you want to tell me you don't have a lot of good Nigerians here, I'm going to go back to Nigeria to bring a woman.
Their eyes are too open, like common sense sisters.
Exactly. They're going to tell you, oh, they're westernized. They're going to tell you our sisters are westernized. So you have to go back home, and then you have to marry somebody. And when you bring them here, you're not going to give them their papers, because you've got to understand the psychology. When someone is not settled, when they don't have their papers, they will be worried. You're going to say, oh, well, I'm not going to give them my papers. I'm going to wait for this to dig. And then when the person says, it's like you want to suppress that person. You want to suppress your progress. Oh, because it took me how many years? I'm not going to give you my papers. So that's why I said at the time, if anybody is going back to Nigeria and say, I want to marry you as a lady, if you have a good looking man in the UK saying, I want to marry you, you've got to be patient and say, what is this actually? Because I don't believe somebody would say, I want to go back to Nigeria to marry somebody. I don't think they're doing it from the heart. They want to control people. They're looking for somebody as a punching bag. So that, it's psychology is repetitive. What you do, what you are done to as a kid, you're going to repeat that mistake. Some people, what you see that is playing out is a result of political and social abuse that have been done to the average Nigerian is unfolding. The fact that a governor came out to defend this man, that is not only disgraceful, it tells you the amount of psychology. A lot of all these our governors, they're psychologists. The Senate president, the former Senate president, he studied in the UK. A lot of them are very intelligent. They know what they're doing. They know that in order for you to control a vast amount of people, you've got to psychologically, manhandle them. If you look at this End SARS matter, the police came out yesterday, make sure that if you protest, we're going to do to you what we did to you October. And so people are going to keep quiet because they are scared.
Yeah, they use fear. They use fear factor to control. Yeah.
They use fear because they know that in order for you to, it's an illusion of power, isn't it?
Yeah.
You mentioned something that I very like. You talked about the colonialism. That's why I say people have to research this. In order for you to understand the scale of psychological abuse, you've got to understand how your colonial masters work. In the UK, the psychology is unbelievable. The conservative, conservative labor, they are the same.
All the same.
No matter who comes, it's worse. Frankly, you hear, if you look at the news, Boris Johnson over the past couple of days has been using enemies, threats, because psychologically proven, when you tell people they've got a threat, they've got an enemy, they respond to that overwhelmingly. Yes. Because it's human nature. When you say, oh, somebody's coming to attack you, what we do, we protect ourselves.
Yeah.
The APC of Nigeria is not different than the conservative of the UK. The APC of Nigeria, they have this philosophy. They want to balance the book. The conservative does the same. The Labour says we want to spend. PDP does the same. It's the same formula.
And you know what's even, sorry to cut you. You know what's even funny about Labour Party? Well, they are the ones that for many years they have this template of insulting the collective intelligence of the unsuspecting members of the black community, because you know what, they know what our fundamental problems are. People are in our community without papers, so they will tell you, oh, we're looking into giving you amnesty. As soon as black people hear amnesty, you're rushing to vote for them. Once they get your votes, they change the laws, they slam you.
Look at that now. Then you forward it back, Labour, right? You forward it back to PDP. PDP does the same thing. When PDP was in power, what did they do? Amnesty. Look at APC. We're going to stop corruption, and look at conservative. So every country it goes to, there is a two-party system, the liberals and the conservative. It's no different. It's like that. You have to understand how your colonial masters work in order for you to break that cycle of psychological damage. You have to understand how the UK works. It's the same thing with Nigeria. They say we're borrowing money. Nigeria has regressed. Nigeria has borrowed 100 billion from the start of the 2010 to 2020. They've borrowed 100 billion, but they've not had 100 billion as a working capital. In fact, they've lost 100 billion.
They've pretty much sold their citizens without our consent.
Look at what is happening now. This is why I say psychology. Remember, we had just one party system, PDP. The PDP had a structural crisis, because within the PDP, you had conservatives and you also had liberals. So what happened was those conservatives left and they formed the APC. So what you're having is two people, two sides of a coin, but they are the same. So APC will tell you, APC is the same as the Conservative Party in the UK. We're going to call that corruption. We're going to balance the book. What they're going
what we're saying, I get your point. So I can bring the next person on. The same thing. I mean, you made very, very powerful points here. It's everything boils down to mental conditioning. And this is why, if I may add to what you've said so far, this is why if you're still feeding heavily or reliant on the mainstream media,
you gone.
You have a long way to go. That's why they control everything. That's why, if you notice, the mainstream media, they created social media. They had different perception behind it, but we hijacked social media. We customized it. We start to use social media to expose them. They don't like anything that the mainstream media, the mainstream government cannot control. They will either destroy it or infiltrate it, find someone within that system that they will bind to, divide and conquer, and make sure that the whole thing is smashed. If it cannot work for them, they will destroy it. It's as simple as so. It's sad.
And one more thing, two things. If you just said something that's actually important, because a lot of people think and what's happening in the UK is a parallel to what's going on in Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians, they think they want to come abroad. They think that's the hallmark for success. A lot of our black Africans here in the UK, they think that the hallmark of success is to go to Oxford and is to go to Cambridge and all that universities, you see. But they don't understand, in order for you to get into those institutions, you need to have a pedigree. We're not talking about intelligence. You need to understand, you need to be a psychological abuser yourself to get into those institutions. Case in point, remember Oxford. Stormzy wanted to send about 40 students to school. They refused him, not because he did not have the money. He clearly had the money.
Yeah, black students. They blocked him out.
They wanted the pedigree. They wanted a pedigree of people, the people who understand psychology and know how to use it effectively. So if you are a lady in Nigeria, the only advice I can give you is educate yourself. Make sure you educate yourself, so that your worth would not be a bright price. So that your worth as a human being would not be a man paying to buy you from your parents. So please, I cannot say it enough. It's education, so that your worth cannot be a piece of bread for your family to rejoice after you've been sold off. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jerry, my man.
Yes,
thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Fantastic. Let me bring on Yewande. Yewande, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm all right, thank you. I just wanted to touch on, Jerry has actually said most of the things I wanted to say, but I basically just wanted to expand on the coercion that was basically used on this woman, because I feel like it happened very recently actually on social media, and it's something that we tend to overlook in our community. If you remember, I don't know if it's up to a month ago, when Nice came on the internet and he made this video about him cheating on his wife, and he was telling the whole world to go and beg his wife on his own behalf because he's cheated, and now he feels bad, not because he cheated, but because he already had previous marriages, and he doesn't want to lose this one. The point I'm trying to make is that we live in a society where we know that women can be coerced into what we want them to do. And these men know exactly what they're doing. It's basically about that psychology that Jerry was talking about earlier. These men know exactly what they're capable of, which is exactly what this governor did as well. He basically abused his power and he coerced this woman into going back with that man. Anybody with half a brain would know that it's extremely dangerous, not just for her, but also her children, to be in that type of situation, because now you've normalized this idea. Imagine if I was a woman who was abused, and I'm seeing the governor of a state in Nigeria telling a fellow woman who basically just had a baby that, oh, your husband sat on your stomach when you were pregnant. Your husband sat on your incisions after CS. And it's okay, you can go back to him because the governor of a state has said it's fine. Imagine what that would do to, if not hundreds of thousands of Nigerian women who are in those type of situations. They will basically think, oh, well, my own is not that bad, my husband didn't sit on my stomach when I was pregnant anyway, so I should just be in that situation. We basically have a society where I don't think that woman can leave, because if she does, she's a doctor, so you would think she should be able to provide for herself and her kids. But if she does, she would be castigated by everybody in her community, in her church. Imagine her walking down, going to church, and people saying, oh, you left your husband after we begged you. So now it's not just about her leaving the husband. It would be about her not agreeing to what they have said, because they've also been involved in this type of situation. So I think what we need to basically do is look at the parts of our culture that basically enable this behavior, because we still have things like bride price. Do you understand? Which gives the man this idea that he owns this woman and he can basically do what he wants. Do you understand? Because some people will tell you
that culture is crazy, man.
Some people will tell you, like, if you're going to leave this man, you have to pay the bride price back, because that's basically the transaction that's gone on between the woman and the family.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So some men would actually tell you, I've been in situations before where I've heard men say, like the father would have to pay. Exactly, because this is what happens in our society. This is and I also feel like it's very important to mention that I don't know of many families who grew up in love. Like if you look at the older generations, they basically stay together just because they've been together for that long. Like at the age of 55, where am I going to start from? That's what's in the back of their mind. Majority of them are not there because they're deeply in love, which is why you barely ever see them share affection with each other.
Yeah.
You will never really see them say I love you to each other. You will never really see them encourage each other. It's more of a necessity. Like, oh, we've come this far, we have ties together, we've built houses together, we have kids together, and let's just continue to live this way. It's not necessarily out of love or affection or a genuine reason to make it work.
I actually read the lady's comment online. Yeah, some of these things are deeply rooted. You and it's crazy. A lady actually said, what works for people in their relationship is different. Yeah. My husband told me over 7 years ago he can only give me sex twice a month. Or you know, because he's a busy man. And some people were saying, if your husband says he can only make love to you twice a month, you should not ask him for. It's just like, who made these rules, man?
That's another thing I wanted to touch on as well. Like as women, I've never really known growing up where women were expected to have standards in a relationship. So like in your example now, you basically said a woman has come out and said that her husband only wants to have sex with her twice a month. As a woman, she will most likely just have to accept it. Women are not necessarily known to be affirmative when it comes to having standards with men. They are the ones who basically just accept what the man brings to the table in the name of being his wife. You understand? I never really grew up knowing that, okay, well, when you grow up, this is what you have to demand of a man. Other than the only one I was told growing up is that, oh, until he marries you, don't have sex with him. There's no other thing that was expected of the man. There are very, very low standards being set for women. So from the start, before marriage even, she's already going there unprepared. She's already at a disadvantage because the women around us don't really teach us, okay, this is what to do or this is what to not accept from the man. It's more, okay, so once you're married, then we'll start to deal with whatever problems arise.
Yeah, it's the culture, man. Because 9 out of 10 times, like you rightly said, 9 out of 10 times, imagine the women that you're saying, that you use the term to describe, let's say our moms, right? They themselves are probably, more than likely, 99.9% of the times, they themselves are a product of toxicity coming, because you can only give what you have, So, So the moment, and that's why you notice, in fact, most of the clashes, like for example, the generation whereby you live in the West or you're living in an environment where that allows you to maybe think outside the box and see things differently. So you find yourself in the West now. So when you start to have this mental battle or back and forth with your moms and stuff like that, they can't, you're like on a wavelength that they've never come across. So, and unfortunately, a lot of our African parents, when they cannot be forthcoming or to match you or be able to bring something to the table in terms of a particular conversation, or maybe you disagree with an idea, they will quickly take a sharp left and label you as being arrogant, you're too loud, you're disrespectful, or they'll say you're westernized, they'll say, the adjectives, right? The list goes. So, and it's 9 out of, I mean, there's a difference between when somebody's just been blatantly disrespectful to them. That's not the point. But just, I remember a friend's, this was years ago, a friend's house. And imagine my friend, a dude. So the mom, their dad's passed away years before then. And it was like a little family house party. So their mom was just telling us stories about when she was younger, how she met their dad. And unfortunately, Mama embarrassed herself in the living room where all of us were sat having a little house gathering. It was somebody's birthday or naming ceremony. Yeah, my friend had a baby then. And the Mama came from Nigeria, But she was excited. So she was just trying to tell stories that she remember when she met her. And then she was like, I remember when we went somewhere in Oshogbo and your dad, you know your dad back then is the son of a farmer. He just got back from the farm and then he asked me to make his pounded yam. And because I was just trying to file down my nails, I didn't quickly go and make the pounded yam. He gave me 2. Pow, pow. I was like, sorry, you my husband. And you know, you know what, man? Imagine in the middle of a sitting room, everybody sat there, and I remember I'm like, wow. And then she's got her sister, you know, these people from this generation, and people were like, whoa. So a lady was like, Mama, look, your husband slaps you like that and beats you. I said, you know, he's the son of a farmer, and he has strong hands. And then she kind of like ducked into, but I like you when he holds me with his strong hands. Yeah. But then the son, who is my friend, was like, Mom, that's enough. Go upstairs. So he was embarrassed, of course. And then she was trying to say, you people of this generation, you can imagine where that conversation is going.
Soft. Yeah.
Like there is some special discovery that we are yet to make. But even, you know, you got to tell yourself the truth. Nobody's perfect, but like, nah, mommy, that's just wrong. But she wasn't prepared to listen. And I remember my friend telling me later on that anytime they tried to tell her that, Mom, you know, what dad did here and there was wrong, blah, 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 she would ask them to shut up. And she would say to them that it was because they live abroad, they've adopted the white ways. And so these are the same women that you more than likely find in our society that they will sit down trying to give advice about someone else's relationship. That's why I always say to people, be careful who you put your matters before. Just because somebody is elderly doesn't mean they have the brains to offer you the right advice. We do that a lot. Sentiments. Look, let me not say too much because I know some people are watching. I've got some of my families. There are too many idiots in their 50s and their 60s that you just have a 5 minutes conversation and you be like, nah, man.
Yeah, no,
like, but in our society, they think because they are in their 60s or 70s, they can tell you any odd nonsense. I know when you ask why is it that you call this culture, they will tell you straight away that's how we do it. Ashawani. You don't ask questions. Like I know somebody who's my family member. It was going to Nigeria on holiday. Wife busted him with a bag of about 60 condoms in his bag. In his bag, right? So it became a major fight. It was here in the UK. And then when the family sat, the guy was trying to say to the wife that if it was Nigeria, you can't do nothing to me, man. You know, like I'm actually, he was saying it as like I'm doing you a favor by keeping a bag of X number of condoms. I was in the living room where that argument was happening, and I remember like I nearly disappeared into the wall behind me because I was shocked.
Yeah.
But this is what where I'm going. The gathering, you had mostly females and some elders, right? Some older gentlemen. This is my point, Yuande. Some of those females, they took a sharp left with a very, very biased judgment. At the end of everything, you know what they said? They asked the woman to kneel down and beg her husband.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's what I'm saying about no standards already.
To her, Ashawani, it's our culture. Kneel down and beg your husband. And that woman went ballistic on everybody. And very rightly so. And I'm telling you, man, some of these people, even back home, they will go, just because they've asked you to do something and you say no, they will get out of their way to go and do some diabolical crap to you. Just so they can have their way. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know how we can wriggle out of these very toxic. Imagine a governor, right? Just imagine a sitting governor can use his power to do that. That's what I was saying earlier at the start of the live stream.
Toxic patriarchy. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. It is. The most disturbing part of the video for me which I feel like a lot of people have somehow not mentioned, is the fact that her child was there telling the mom sorry.
Yeah,
and
I
that to
saw
me
that.
basically says that he's probably seen that more than once. He's probably been very exposed to that, because like the lady said, they've been married for 6 years and it has been going on. She's not had any peace in the relationship. So the child is actually used to that. So whether they like it or not, they basically validated what that child was feeling, because that child might grow up to do the very same thing that he's seeing his mom go
Absolutely.
through right now.
Absolutely.
And
Because if
even
you
if
don't,
it was a boy, he would do the same to a woman. And if the child is a female, he has basically seen that, okay, if my mom can tolerate this, then I sure I should be able to, especially when it's coming from her dad. So it's troubling to me how nobody mentions the fact that the parents are now together is actually not a good thing for these children. Even if they were somehow supposed to get back together, which I completely disagree with, I don't think this is the right time. I think the woman needs space. I think she needs to go and recover. I think the man should be punished. And then maybe, because at the end of the day, they're a couple and they're adults and they should decide what to do. And I completely disagree that they should be together. But if that's what she wants, then maybe she should go back. But it's hard to not see how she was coerced, because when you look at that picture and they say they were reconciled, you could see in her face that was not what she wanted. She
of
wasn't even
course,
looking at the camera. You could see she was still in so much
that
pain, but
was that
somehow,
was that was. By the way, that was the governor's, I think, official residence. So they must have gone in. They've done a major PR. The governor has told them what to do. Okay, the journalists, the press are out now. You're going to go out there. You say X, Y, Z, and stuff.
exactly.
He
It
came
was
out with his own
constructed,
wife,
yeah.
and they were behind them. It was all clearly scripted, man. Come on, man. It was all, governor's instructions, and then the media, they did all that, and they rolled it out into the public domain, man. So what can we do, man? But thanks, Yohan. Let me bring on House of Coffee, okay?
Hi, Phrankleen.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so sorry. I don't have the same energy today because honestly, I'm really broken. One thing I want to say is that don't be surprised that this so-called governor himself is an abuser of his own wife as well. A lot of people do not realize that all these pastors, all these imams that you go to find solutions are abusing their wives themselves. So what kind of solutions are you looking for from them, honestly? They come to church in the morning smiling, but at the back of the doors, they've actually slapped that woman before coming to sing to you in church. So you can't go to them for any advice. In fact, the only advice they know in their head is to tell you to go back there. They are not going to say anything unusual to you. They are not professional counselors. They are not therapists. So my own point is that many of us women as well are enablers. We see all the signs when you're dating that man. When you're dating that man, when he tells you that you should shut up, and you're there sitting down there because of the 2 naira that he wants to give to you. When he slaps you and say you should shut up, and you're there because he wants to give you 50 pounds at the end of the day, and you say, oh no, it's okay, it's my boyfriend, he's really loving, I shall love him, and I'm 33 now and I have to marry, and you still go back there, and then you now marry that person and you expect them to turn around all of a sudden. They can't turn around. They've been doing it and you've accepted it, so they can't turn around. It's in their head. They can't turn around. You've accepted it from the relationship. It means it is okay. So he or she will continue it. A lot of men will see women that demeaning them, that talk to them anyhow, disrespect your mother, and you see how that girl, fine garnish, before me gone in a bed, and you still go ahead and marry her. And you now say, oh, no, she's abusing me. Abusing you how? The signs were already there and you chose to go ahead. So let's not play the fool. The realistic thing is that all the signs are usually there. Do not go into marriage with that kind of person because they are never going to change. No prayer, no amount of fasting is going to change that. That is my own point, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, House of Coffee. Thank you. Chuku, my brother.
Yeah, Chukudu.
Chukudum. Go on, bro.
I watch your videos all the time. It was a very insightful video. You always
Thank you, man.
you speak from the mind. Like, you know, I'm in the US now, growing up in Nigeria. I remember I was a 12-year-old kid. So I was born Catholic. I'm not religious now. I'm spiritual. So we'll go to church. I'll see something. I'll be like, the father will say, he wants to do what's it called? Offering for his birthday. And I'm asking my mom, why? That doesn't even make any sense. You see, I'm a young kid. I'm asking why. They're like, well, you know, that's what the priest wants to do. The point I'm trying to make is we've been so indoctrinated religiously, culturally, that any little thing where the famous why, when a human is asking why, we've been taught not to question things. And you have to ask questions. You need to ask why. Even this whole thing with the male and the female, even growing up as a kid, I used to think that you must focus on having a firstborn son or no, my mindset is now totally changed, and like because of exposure and reading and just growing up. And I come to realize that man or woman is irrelevant. Anyone can still achieve the same thing, regardless of gender. But we've been taught that we should put certain people at a lower class and a higher class. For instance, now people in life place value of someone's identity based on the amount of money they carry in their pouch. How does that even make any sense? So you don't know who's who, you don't know what someone is doing, you don't know somebody's character, but automatically you worship someone's feet because they have money. At the end of the day, we're all still going to die. That's the thing that baffles me. It baffles me so badly. Like when I see the way we act on certain things, even with Nigeria, with the culture, at the end of the day, we're still going to die. If I stab you with a knife, you're going to bleed. So I keep asking myself and I keep wondering, why do we have this mentality? And you see, you know, it's that neo-colonial mentality. I'm having a debate with some of my friends about why is it that we don't patronize our own things. Do you know what some of these, I'm on the tech world, do you know what some of these software companies do? They take their project, they subcontract it to Nigerians. They pay us peanuts, then they front on the front and make it seem like they're the ones doing it. I'm like, what is happening? So we're the guys that actually do the work. We're the smart minds all over the world. We're the ones contributing to a bunch of economies. So today now is mental slavery. They used to take us for being physically strong. Now they're taking the brightest minds. So they take us mentally and we come over here. And then they put Africa in the same position it is so they can keep taking and they keep taking and they keep taking. And then we join in the same thing and then we castigate our own brothers. So it's actually a deeper connotation of what's going on in society. It's very, very, and the big issue is that when people like Phrankleen and we start asking why, they'll say you're arrogant, you're this, but you know, routine. But guess what? You have to keep moving. You gotta keep moving forward. You can't give up. You gotta just keep going because at the end of the day, they say bad things happen when good people see it and stand down. So now, don't talk. No, talk. You must talk. You must say whatever it is you want to say. So listen to all these things. Listen to everybody speaking. I'm actually like happy that you know there are other mindsets and people sharing in the same viewpoint. Like, who the hell are you to tell somebody that you should kneel down? Kneel down. I'd rather you shoot me with a gun, man. I ain't kneeling down for nobody. All of us, we're all men. We're all humans on earth. We're all humans on
own right.
Yes, like we're all humans on earth. What am I kneeling down to beg someone for? Like, what's the point?
The only person I can kneel down to beg is my wife.
because of what you do, Sha.
And if I have to kneel down, then you should know I've done something really crazy.
But you get my point, the big picture about everything.
Yes, sir.
Like we're all human beings on earth. We're all humans. At the end of the day, we're all human. When I pray to God, I pray for wisdom to solve my problem on earth. I don't pray for no miracles or no, you know, that's the end, and that's pretty much it. So that's just my point and my own 2 cents. But I love this show. I love what Phrankleen is doing, and it's an amazing show, and everyone here.
My man, thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. Yes, sir. Awesome. Let me bring on the next TJ. Oh, hold on. Yay. Wait, let me re-add my magical hands. TJ Alonge. Are you there?
Hi, Phrankleen.
Hi, what's up?
How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm joining very late, so I think that maybe my points probably would have already been made. It's heartbreaking when you see a situation like that where a sitting official can come out and say, you know, accept now, shekini, whatever. The second thing that I thought of was, now imagine if this man Obviously, I believe he will keep abusing his wife. If he eventually kills her, who do we blame? Do we put the blame on the woman, or do we put the blame on the so-called governor that reconciled them?
Oh, they would say something like, oh, it's the will of God.
Can you imagine? What kind of rubbish is that? You are sending an abused woman back into the arms of her abuser. You don't eventually think that man is going to kill her? And like everybody has already rightly said, we've already been brought up in this culture whereby when we normalize behavior like this, we indoctrinate a lot of our children to accept things as they are, even when we know that they are bad. You have women advising fellow women, oh, and don't go now, don't leave the marriage now, think of your children. When the man now eventually kills the woman, those ones will now keep quiet and they'll be looking at the man and looking at the children.
Check this out. I got an email. I digress, but I just chip this in just to see how our mentality back home is so warped. So a guy sent me, said, Phrankleen, let me make you laugh. And it really cracked me up. He said his mom back home in Nigeria would see him and his wife in America, right? Maybe they're out and about, they take pictures, and then the mom will send him WhatsApp message, tell your wife to stop wearing trousers. Your marriage will end up down the drain because she's a woman. She's not meant to.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine such bullocks, Phrankleen?
Watch this. Watch this, yeah. The mother said, stop, tell your wife. Every time she sees this brother's wife, yeah, the mother, this guy's mom will send him message, my heart is broken. Your wife has finally lost herself into the Western system, blah, blah, blah. She's wearing jeans like men. What? So, guess what? So they got mama a US visa, right?
I already know where this story is going.
He lives in Chicago. You know what Chicago is like in winter?
I've lived in Minnesota, so I know.
So they brought my mom. The guy said I deliberately brought my mom to the US at the peak of winter season. So
we know how that story ends.
So she showed up with a deeper life skirts and a 1,000 pleatings on the edge. And then so they said they put my mom in the car, right? And then they pull her out on the street and she's like, it's like it's like there's a blast through my car. I see. So they took her shopping and then they got her several jeans. He said the next day she's putting on leather belt, putting on boots. So he said he left her for a week and he said, Mom, so by putting on these jeans and leather boots and with your scarf around your neck, so does that mean marriage to my father is going down the drain? And then guess what? The mom said, be quiet, you're very rude. Do you see
what do you mean? What do you mean? After you brought out a very good fact, auntie's now saying we should shut up. What kind of rubbish is that?
You see what I'm saying to you? This is all this so-called culture and whatnot. It's not culture.
It's not culture.
They are passed on from generation after generation, and this is how people remain repressed. A lady, watch this, sent me an email and said her husband smashed the bones in the left hand with a wheel spanner because he was trying to pick some money from his wallet whilst he was fixing the car, and he smashed. So basically, as I speak, the woman is disabled in the left hand because the nerve, something to her, and basically the lady said her father said you shouldn't have. So I replied, I said, I'm not trying to be funny, forgive me. Were you trying to break into the World Bank? She said, no, I was trying to pick 2,000 naira so I could buy ice cream for the kids, and he smashed my hand with a wheel spanner. And she said this happened 4 years ago. Her father said, if you divorce that man, you're going to be ostracized from this family So out of fear, she has to remain. And guess what? She's disabled in the left hand now that she can't use it any longer because the nerves are dead.
Yeah.
She watches my channel.
So
can you imagine?
So in that family zone, a dead disabled daughter is better than a divorced one. Can you imagine that, Phrankleen? It breaks. It really.
Dad said you shouldn't have touched your husband's wallet. Now that's evil, man. That's evil.
Yeah, that does not give him a right. I don't care who you are, man or woman. You don't put your hands on anybody. You don't. You do not put your hands on anyone. And if it gets to that stage of life and death, a lot of us will not realize that marriage is not life and death. If somebody is beating you to pulp and you are staying there and saying, it's the will of God, God does not like divorce. Does God like you to carry your dead body out of your matrimonial home? I mean, come on. We need to wake up.
All of these things are just ways to keep people in check in a box, not
mental
to
slavery. Phrankleen, mental slavery. That is what a lot of us are under. And until we release ourselves from that bondage that we ourselves have put ourselves in, status quo will remain the same. Status quo will remain the same. Thank you so much, Phrankleen.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Miss Tonia Ifeyinwa. I hope I pronounced that properly. Are you there?
I'm gonna fine you for that.
Forgive me.
How are you doing, Phrankleen?
I'm all right, thanks. Nice to have you on the show.
Yes.
Sorry to keep
I'm going to talk from the perspective of somebody who has been in an abusive relationship and somebody who has seen a friend die from an abusive relationship. First of all, it starts from the society, the women. We train the girls to be good wives, but nobody trains the boy to be a good husband. He's just left to do whatever he wants to do. So the girl wants to keep her home. You're told that you have to keep your home. The boy has no reason to keep any home. You have to obey him. It has to be him. Life is about him. So all this, from that point, you begin to break down the self-esteem of the girl. And then the man enters she enters the relationship and the man continues to break it down. Thank God for the upbringing I had. It was difficult to break my self-esteem. That's why I left. It was just easy for me. Nobody could tell me anything. I was like, once you started this, you will kill me. I am a Christian, born again, to the core. I had a pastor that told us straight to your face, look, God will hold you responsible for your life. Run. He said, if you have nowhere to go, I will provide a place. That for me was a fantastic pastor. It was like, yes, this is, I got that training, that teaching, and then my mom never took that from anybody. For you to beat her child, for her, she grew up having this mindset that there's no difference between a man and a woman. She had this mindset. So we grew up like that. I had to walk away. I walked away because it was too much. And looking at the society, even there's the pressure the society also puts on you to get married.
Yeah.
Get married, stay there. The church wants you to stay there. But the pastor does not understand that when he tells that lady to stay there, God does not just hold the lady accountable for her life. God holds that pastor accountable. He doesn't understand that he's accountable. He's the one who put her there. She's obeying him. And then there's this thing about oh, I apologized and all that. There are three things. There are some other things about apology. It's not just to apologize. I am sorry. I am sorry. I have done wrong. Admit and be ready to do right. What is the consequence? There has to be a consequence. In this lady's case, there is no consequence for that man.
The
man has to be punished first. There has to be a consequence. I don't advise her to go back. My friend who stayed in her marriage ended up being killed by the husband.
Wow.
And the unfortunate thing is the husband was a pastor. He killed her. He killed her and was protected by the church, protected by the police. And when you go to the police to report, they tell you it's a family affair. They tell you it's a family affair, do this. When the guy, he smashed her head. He smashed her head. She was pregnant and he killed her. And that for me was the height. I'm thinking in my mind, look, this guy would kill me one day. I walked out. He felt my silence was him breaking my self-esteem. And before I left, I told him, I said, look, my silence and taking all of this, it's not because it's not out of fear for you. Far from it. It's out of respect for God and for the institution of marriage. You used up your respect a long time ago. As soon as you raised your hand, you used up that respect. And then I walked out and I said, look, I'm not taking this. You can't do this. You've done it the first time, the second time, I'm not taking it anymore. I'm walking out.
Do you mind me
asking?
And
nobody for me, because I had that self-esteem and I had that teaching. And I read the Bible for myself. A lot of Christians do not read the Bible for themselves. That's why they are indoctrinated. They keep doing, we can't blame Christianity. We can't blame anything. We blame ourselves because we don't read it ourselves. Because the Bible makes you understand that God does not condone violence. And they said God doesn't like divorce. God did not say he doesn't, he says he doesn't like divorce, but if this is your life, is in danger. And because if the guy even as much as sleeps with another woman, God will allow you to divorce him, not to talk of your life. The fact that he doesn't like it does not mean we can't do it. God doesn't like lies. How many people don't lie? How many people lie?
I'm sorry to cut you. My battery is blinking now, so I'm gonna have to wrap up the show. My battery is blinking.
Okay.
On my camera.
All right. Thank you.
Forgive me.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. So, T and everybody else, I'm not going to be able to take you on tonight. Forgive me because my camera was not fully charged. I'm trying this new setup for the first time, and I think it's worked. So I'll prepare better next time. It's been a great show. Thank you, Common Sense Sisters. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution. I don't want the thing to just cut off. That would be rude. That's why I need to wrap up properly. But I know it's been a great contribution. But, you know I love you. And if you're in the backstage, I've not been able to bring you on. Forgive me. And next time, you'll always be able to come back on the show to talk. Your boy, Phrankleen. Yeah. And I'll definitely catch you in the next one. Peace and love, man. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.